All right. I know there have been a lot of talks about disinformation here amongst lots of smart people, so I feel like I don't have to tell you about what it is or why it's a problem. We know the enemy, at least we think we do, and I know we're all tired of playing whack-a-mole, but when we're talking about disinformation, we're talking about the system. We're talking about how the people who make it, how it gets shared from person to person and network to network, and amplified by social media and mainstream media. But, I think that there's a lot more we can do with that. I'll get into that. So I've spent the better part of my career focused on people on the internet. So some of them are good people, normal people, who are readers, they're eyewitnesses, but others have been bots, they've been trolls, they're people creating disinformation campaigns. So I just recently started a fellowship at Stanford, and that's where I'm trying to better understand the people at the receiving end of these campaigns, the regular people who happen to get caught up in it, because I feel like we have a lot we can learn from them. They used to be our audience, after all, and they might even still be, for all we know. So I've talked about this question with a lot of different journalists. About half of them say they already have the answers, and actually one high-power news exec at a company that purports to cover middle America told me this when I brought it up to her. And I think that that's kind of why this research is really important, because lots of people in this business think that they have it all figured out. They think they know why a huge swath of the audience turned away from real news, but I doubt they don't even know the problems, let alone the solutions. I mean, how else did we get into this situation? Assuming that the audience is the problem is the exact reason why the journalism industry is in the position that it's in right now. But you guys can get me started on that at the bar later. I take drinks, it's fine. So I came to Stanford because I had an interest in using the design thinking model to help solve problems within the disinformation system. And if you're not familiar with this model, this is it. I'm not going to belabor it because an Ignite talk on the design thinking model is incredibly cliche, and I know that. But I'm going to be spending my months at Stanford focused on these first two steps of this, empathizing with users and trying to help identify their problems. I'm going to be meeting consumers of disinformation to see how they interact with media and with social media and with each other, where they get information, and identify the struggles that they face, and trying to find out what's going on in the world around them. The end goal out of all of this is to identify some common pain points between these folks, getting some useful insights from their case studies, and really putting all that together in a way that can be shared with local newsrooms so that we can start to work together to find more paths to improve audience reach and audience engagement. So right now, I'm in the stage of trying to identify my extreme users. These are just some examples of what those might look like. So not everyone who shares a false news story is one of these people, but design thinking tells us that these folks are best placed to help us identify problems with a wider set. So how I'm going to identify those test subjects, it's still in the works, but it's largely going to involve following some patterns of sharing on social media that fit with those user types. And then from there, it's on me to convince them to join the study. But then, this winter, I'm going out in the field. I'm going to meet nice ladies like this. And we're going to meet these case studies face-to-face in their homes to observe their environments and interview them to better uncover their tension points, their media habits, and a lot more about their lives. I've found just so far in my D-School classes that interviewing through a design thinking lens is so different from doing it as a journalist. We have to keep our questions open and without judgment. You can't react. And you have to observe more than just listen to what their answers are. And we have to lean into tension instead of avoid it. But the plan right now is to have these interviews done by early spring so I can start to pull out some of those insights and identify some common problems for the users. And then I'm going to compile those findings into a report that I'm going to be sharing with newsrooms. Because I feel like newsrooms are best placed to really take this to the next level, to get this into the steps of ideating, prototyping, and testing it on their audiences. They're really best placed to do that because they're the ones that are actually out in the community, and I look forward to working with them on that. So, what do I need? I need some help. It's going to be great. For one, I'd love to find partners, collaborators. There's lots of really smart people in this room. You know smart people. So if you have ideas or feedback about how I can better do this study, or if you're going to tell me that it's stupid, I'm here all weekend. But also, eventually, I'm going to need some funding, because I'm going to be traveling in person to conduct this in 6 to 8 different places in the US. So that's flights, rental cars, shady roadside motels, and I'm also going to have to pay my test subjects because that's what researchers do, I found out. That's a thing. So right now, I'm just here to talk to all of you guys. I just got started on this. It's my first ever research project, so I'm really eager to get your feedback. So I'd love for all of you to come for the ride, follow my progress, and just come up and talk to me. Thank you.